Hi guys, it's too early for Fool of the Week, but our good friend the concrete farmer is certainly in the running. So he had on Tim Montgomerie from Conservative Home, an influential Tory website, to speak about Sue Gray, the economy and the jailing of rioters. Mike Graham here, of course, misrepresented Starmer's position once again on the riots. Tim tried to suggest that the Prime Minister is tired and needs a holiday. The concrete farmer then tried to engage in some comedy, which was about as funny as you'd imagine jokes are at Talk TV. Have a listen.
Because I've got a little clip to show you, actually. He was in Northern Ireland yesterday, where a lot of people were very annoyed with him because he called them all racists and said that, Northern Ireland...
He did not call everyone racist. He said the riots were racist. And the riots were racist. And I've mentioned this I don't know how many times. The people behind the riots are loyalist paramilitaries, and the loyalist paramilitaries have connections to the National Front in England and Combat 18. Racist organisations.
Irish people were, in some reason, racist about the way they reacted to things that were going on. But he's also being asked now more and more about Sue Gray, and he was a little bit tetchy about it. Have we got it? I think we've got it. Yeah, let's go.
And just on Sue Gray, on her position, casement has apparently been causing divisions. Can you offer some clarity on that?
Yeah, that's complete nonsense. So I hope that's clear enough.
So Keir Starmer, like he did with two-tier policing, said not an issue, not at all talk about it, doesn't want to talk about Sue Gray, despite the fact that Dan Hodges, our esteemed...
Dan Hodges! The Tory hack! So you're relying on news or information from Dan friggin' Hodges. So if Dan Hodges says, well, there must be division in number 10, then it must be true. You're relying on information from a Tory hack. Okay.
Colleague on the Mail on Sunday, and a Labour apparatchik, for all intents and purposes, actually called for her to be fired at the weekend because of the way that she's, sort of knocking heads together out there.
See, what the Tories are trying to do, and their friends in the media, is looking for some sort of division within the Labour administration. Where can we find... And of course there will be division, but what they'll try and do is look for a division and then amplify it. Say that the party is falling apart, that Starmer is in trouble, that Starmer will be kicked out at any moment, that Starmer is fighting with people within his administration. We don't know if that's happening, but the least reliable source, someone like Dan Hodges, is not somebody we should be listening to.
Well, two things. First of all, I think there is clearly a problem.
Yeah.
This government, what was its main message? It came to power, Rachel Reeves stood up in the House of Parliament and said there is no money left.
Right.
And what they've been doing, they've been spraying money to all their trade union friends all over the summer.
Yeah.
There is...
If you want to grow the economy, you need to put money in people's pockets. If you want to grow the economy, you need people working. And how many times do we have to say this? If doctors, nurses, in particular, are not getting the pay and decent conditions that they're expecting, then what are they going to do? They're going to go on strike. If they don't go on strike, they're going to leave. They're going to leave the profession, or they'll leave the country altogether. See, the Tories, and I keep coming back to this point, were not interested in resolving the strikes. They were interested in having it continue indefinitely, because they were able to point the finger at the trade unions and say the trade unions are the problem. There's a cost of living crisis. We shouldn't be paying these people anymore. We don't have any money. We spent it all on PPE contracts. In a way, we don't say that. But the Conservatives were not interested in dealing with the strikes. And the strikes' motivation was, of course, cost of living, money, also pay, also conditions, contracts, the relationship with management. All of these things have to be resolved. In some ways, the government can resolve it. In other ways, the government can't resolve it. It's a dispute between management and the trade union and the unions or the workers. But the Tories were not interested in fixing these problems. So when the new government comes along and tries to fix them, of course, the Tories and their supporters in the media will attack this.
It's clearly a problem in the Downing Street operation, because if you're that dysfunctional, you can't get that basic message.
You can't talk about dysfunctionality. You've been supporting the Conservative Party from the very beginning. You can't talk about dysfunctionality. You can't support a party that put Boris Johnson in charge and then complain about dysfunctionality. You can't support a party that put Liz Truss in charge and then talk about dysfunctionality. I've complained about Rishi Sunak being spineless. There were opportunities for him to kick troublemakers out of the party, and he didn't. So you can't turn around now and talk about dysfunctionality. What evidence do you have of dysfunctionality? You have one Tory hack who's claiming that the administration is falling apart, and you're running with that.
Over, that you are doing things in complete contradiction to what you said was the main mission of your government just a month.
Yes.
It's madness. The other thing is, I don't know whether you'll agree with me on that man needs a holiday.
Yeah.
You know, he's tetchy, he's exhausted. I know he's only been Prime Minister for a little while, but of course he was campaigning for a long time before that.
Yes.
I don't like this sort of general macho thing that we like our politicians, you know, in the office all the time. I think sometimes they need a break.
Well, I think
that man does look exhausted.
The country would benefit in a huge way if he just took a break for the next 4 years and you know, didn't bother us at all with anything.
Is that supposed to be funny? Oh, take a break for 4 years. Now, let's get back to the point where he said that, you know, this guy needs a holiday. He's tetchy. He keeps getting asked stupid questions. If I was Prime Minister, or even, I don't even have to be Prime Minister, if somebody was asking me the same stupid questions all the time, then I would get upset. It's nothing to do with being on holiday or not going on holiday. It's about the stupid questions. Two-tier policing. Is there two-tier policing? No, there isn't. So, of course, if somebody's going to be constantly asked, what are you doing about two-tier policing, when there is none, how are you supposed to respond to that? The other point about Sue Gray. The issue of Sue Gray was brought up by Dan friggin Hodges, a Tory hack. How are you supposed to respond to that without saying, that's stupid? Maybe Starmer should actually be a bit more confrontational with these journalists by saying, that's just stupid. That's just ridiculous. Where are you getting your information from? Dan Hodges, a Tory hack? Maybe you should find better sources. See, part of the problem here, of course, is you have the Conservatives and their friends in the media looking for excuses to attack the government. They're not interested in holding the government to account. It's about trying to find problems, trying to drive wedges between Starmer and his party, or Starmer and his ministers, or Starmer and his administration, to score political goals. And their friends in the media, of course, will cheer this on. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.